it do, Fred? How you doing, Ray?
What's up, Dre? How's everything?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, man. I just had to call in real quick, man. You know, I used to go watch some of your when you used to call some of the fights at the Horseshoe and at Hammond.
Oh man, hits boxing. That's what I'm talking about. This is old school right here.
Yeah,
man, oh man.
Yeah, but I just had to call in. I just say, man, I'm proud of you, man. Like you represent Chicago well, man. Like that's all I had to say.
That's dope.
I appreciate it. And that means the world to me. You know what? And Fred, this is the absolute truth. Without me getting my start here in the Chicagoland area from an MMA and a boxing standpoint, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I owe everything to this area, the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's all I had to say. Appreciate the call.
Appreciate it. And I still rep my Bears 3-0, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, what you think about the White Sox and the Cubs finally in the playoffs?
Hey, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, really?
I'm a little weary about the White Sox, but you know what? Like, hey, they're in the playoffs. They're in the dance. Bottom line is you got to get to the dance. So we got some big games tomorrow. I'm a White Sox fan. I'm not a Cub hater, so I want both teams to come out with W's over the next few days.
Did the Yankees make the playoffs?
Yeah, they're in the playoffs.
Okay. Okay, good. Good. I have no idea what's going on in sports, man. Shit. It's so bad.
Yeah, appreciate the call.
Appreciate it. Let's see. Why is Leo afraid to fight Gary Russo Jr. then? I don't think Leo's afraid to fight Gary Russo Jr. It's just from a business standpoint. Look, I don't make the decisions, business standpoint. He's got Tank Davis now. That's a big fight. And I think that from a general sports standpoint, that fight with Leo and Gervonta being on pay-per-view, that's a big money fight for Leo. And then if Leo wins that fight, he can go and he'll fight Gary Russo Jr. So that fight could potentially happen.
Man, you got celebrities coming in here, man. You bringing the celebrities out, man.
He's Black Jesus.
Black Moses. You got the celebrities coming out.
Mr. Flores, sir, how are you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And you know what I wanted to point out is when are you going to ask for that Gervonta Davis Devin Haney fight?
I mean, listen, Gervonta, I haven't been able to ask for it because Gervonta's got Leo Santa Cruz in front of him coming up in less than a month's time. So
what happens after that? What happens after that?
And then, look, I'm okay with Gervonta and Devin Haney after that. I think I interviewed Devin Haney like 2 years ago or in January of 19. I think Devin Haney's one of it actually, and this is the absolute truth, it actually upset me and pissed me off that he was fighting as the co-main event of the two YouTube clowns who have no business main eventing. And I don't care if 10 or 12,000 people came out to watch a couple of clowns fight. Devin Haney is a world-class fighter and should have been in the main event at the Staples Center. Devin Haney should be the co-main event of nobody. Those two clowns are a bunch of bozos. Devin Haney needed to be in the main event. And I'm sorry that they drove little subscriptions, this and that, little YouTubers, all those influencers in LA at Staples Center. Fine. But you are going to see a world-class prize fighter in the main event. The main event is something that's earned and not given like those bozos. Those bozos can go, a part of the circus. I don't want to see them ever in a boxing ring again. Devin Haney is a bad, bad boy. And if Tank beats Leo, then let's see Tank and Devin Haney.
Absolutely. For that 135-pound strap.
Hey, I'm all about it. I mean, look,
you heard what he said, Fred.
Shit. You preaching to the choir.
Look, I'm with it. But again, like I said, Gervonta's got to get past Leo first.
Absolutely. And Devin has Gamboa next.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, and that's and that would be similar opponents right there. So
yes, sir.
I mean,
yes, sir.
Hey, and then we'll see what happens when it comes to the TV standpoint, whatever. But look, I think we should all make the damn fight. Let's make the best fights happen for the sport.
So do you think what Mike Tyson said over the weekend in terms of fighters taking more of the initiative to make the fights happen, that will get them the most money and also are good for their legacy? Because I noticed that you talked about the importance of just being undefeated shouldn't be a main priority for the fighters of today. So what do you think?
Listen, the fighters are the bosses. I mean, you have the promoters and stuff like that, but the fighters ultimately are the bosses.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's the truth. Look, with Errol, he was gave him, and they said, listen, do you want a tune-up fight? Errol said, no, I don't want a tune-up fight. I want Danny Garcia. Give me my mandatory right now. And that's what's happening. He demanded it, and now it's happening. And listen, from everybody I've worked with and currently work with, if the fighter truly wants it, it will be given to you, assuming everything comes together.
Yes, sir.
So the fighter is the boss. If the fighter wants it and is willing to, because every single time the fighter steps in that ring, they risk their lives. Let's not forget about that. So if they're willing to take that risk and they feel that the numbers are correct, then the fight is going to happen. So I really do believe that the fighter gets to dictate as to what happens in their careers for the most part. Some crazy other things happen, but for the most part.
So a Gervonta Davis
Yeah.
is fighting who he wants to fight. If he wants to fight someone, he's in a position. Because what I said on Fred's show, I think it was night before last or maybe even last night, I said that, I said the days of fighters blaming, especially big fighters, blaming the promoters and blaming the networks for not making the fight happen with social media and the way that things are. I think those are days of the past. I think it was a time when promoters could dictate it, but now with social media and the things, like I said, with the YouTubers being able to drum up interest, and I would have to admit, I was at the arena and I saw how many people came out to see the YouTubers. So in fairness, they were pushing that event. But getting back to just a per se a boxing crowd and just a boxing event, I believe that a fighter on Gervonta Davis's level, if he wants to fight the Lomachinkos of the world or the Devin Haneys of the world, I think he's in a position where he could call for it. He could make it happen.
Look, he's a big box office smash in the United States. And listen, did I have a problem with the YouTubers main eventing? Yeah, but they should have been on the undercard then. You want to make that whatever it is, the undercard. Fine, let your fans do their little thing. Let the little boy, whatever it is, go out and show out and stuff like that. Fine, but let Devin Haney main event. Devin Haney should be co-main event of nobody. But anyways, you're right though when it comes to the fighters now being able to dictate, and I'm starting to see that more and more, and I think it's wonderful that now the networks are even behind it. Look, now that we look what happened with Wilder Fury #2. Everyone's like, could it happen again? Could it happen again? When Fury was with ESPN, I heard how many people were like, well, him and Wilder #2 is not going to happen. It ain't never going to happen. And what happened? It happened. Okay. And we got a third one coming up. ESPN said, we'll take the second one. Fox said, we're going to produce the third one. Guess what? Everyone got paid. Everyone's happy. Deontay's going to come back, fight Fury a third time. Everybody's good. It just takes some common sense. The boxing business isn't damn rocket science. Let's all think with common sense and make sure that it all happens.
Yes. How impressive do you think? Because it was extremely impressive for me all night to hear Lions Only Promotions in association with all the other promoters, and for it to be those young guys to have their first pay-per-view. It was like Floyd, I talked about the other night. Floyd had a blueprint, and he paved the way for fighters to be promoters younger in their career, especially their first pay-per-view. And I think Floyd didn't have his actual promotion until after maybe Oscar or after his big pay-per-view fight. So for me to see that happen for those guys, I was more than happy, to say the least. What do you think?
We should all be beaming with joy because they have believed it, they saw it, and they made it happen. And you know what? The man that truly needs to get more credit than what he is given is Al Heyman for really believing in these guys, pushing them, constantly putting them on a PBC platform, and really just saying, hey, these are two young guys who are special. And Al has given everybody that he's worked with a fair shake. That is hands down. He has made so many wonderful livings for hundreds of fighters and managers and promoters, gave me a great opportunity, but Al needs to be given more credit. And the bottom line, too, is that Al's not front and center. all these other guys, a lot of other people, they want to be more front and center, this and that. For him, the fighters are the stars, because without the fighters, we have nothing. Without the fans, we have nothing. So that's the bottom line. So I think Al needs to be given a lot more credit. And what the Charlo's been able to do, I think, is wonderful. And I hope we continue to see more of it.
Well, when we were negotiating our deal, I think if we would have talked to you, maybe we would have been with PBC. As good as you sold Al to me right there.
I mean, I'm not even trying to sell out to you. I'm just telling you what, my experience. I mean, I've done pretty much every major PBC show since June of 2015, and I don't have not one complaint. If I got to run through a wall, I'm going to run through a wall. And I love, and it's crazy. And Fred, you know this. Boxing breed, there's negativity all over boxing, right? Combat sports in general. I can't remember the last time I heard one bad word, one bad sentence about Al Haymon. Why? Because he treats you with respect and gives you the opportunity, and he cares. That's the thing about Al. When people ask me, well, how I've never met Al Haymon. I just hear through the grapevine, hey, you like so you do this or whatever, this and that. How is Al? Al cares about his fighters, and he's so detail orientated, and that's what I love about what he does and what PBC stands for.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like I have the utmost respect for Al, so much that growing up as a kid, all I would hear was Al Haymon. Al Haymon presents. Al Haymon presents. Now, coming from the Bay Area, we were used to hearing Bill Graham presents. Bill Graham, and then to hear Al Haymon, and then of course. I couldn't go to a lot of the concerts. I was very young then, but I would always hear on the radio, Al Haymon presents, Al Haymon presents. So to finally, to see him in boxing, I haven't got a chance to meet him or anything, but I have a very big respect for him and everything that he's done in boxing,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Well, congrats to Devin and everything else, and I can't wait to see him back in the ring and waiting, for a fight. Like I said, I support everybody. In this sport. And, when we were actually at the desk on Showtime for that, for the Pacquiao Broner preview, and they told me that we were interviewing Devin, I'm like, okay, cool. I've seen him around on Showtime, whatever. And Fred, I'm not going to lie to you. And, you probably don't even know this, but I was like, man, in my head, I was like, man, Devin's about to come over to PBC, and he's about like, man, Devin's about, oh boy, here we go, baby, like Showtime, PBC, whatever. I'm happy he got a great deal, and he is where he is and stuff like that. But in my mind, I was like, oh man,
Showbox, Gordon is a great friend of mine. I mean, he still continues to like mentor me and stuff through this whole process, the promotion and picking opponents and stuff like that. He's, he's a phone call away. I mean, he answers and he calls me back and stuff. So it was definitely bittersweet leaving, the 3 Showtime Showbox shows. And we were looking so forward to going over, crossing over the street and go to the Showtime Championship, PBC, etc. And a delay is not a denial.
That's right.
Hey, that, what I mean?
Doing your thing, we keep supporting, and man, let's make that Gervonta and Devin fight happen, man. I mean,
yes. And that's one thing. That's one thing about Eddie. That's one thing about when we talked about Eddie was that never would he stand in the way if we had to come, or if or when we came over to make a fight happen on Showtime. Of course, I know with Showtime they would love for us to stay, and we never know what the future has in store. I mean, you guys have been great with us.
I'll tell you what, if that were to happen and Devin were like, let's say they, Eddie agrees to that one-off and Devin comes back and fights Tank, whatever. Like for me, in my head, it's going to be like, welcome home. Even if it's just for one time, it's like, welcome home, welcome back, to be like an old friend. Like, man, I missed you, old friend. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, brother. Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to call and talk to you, Ray. You always been great to us, man. And thank you for, all your kind words, and I appreciate them. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Say hello to Devin and stuff. I can't wait to see him back inside that ring. And you know what? Hey, and listen, this is the last time I'm going to say this, but enough of that BS of that man co-main eventing for anybody.
Hey, I'm listening to you, boss. Garbage. I'm listening to you, boss. Look forward to it. I want to hear you announcing Dev one time. I want to hear it. It'll be like music to my ears. All right, brother.
All right, you have a great one. Take care.
All right, hey, thanks, Fred, for having me, man.
Easy, man. Come on, man.
All right, brother.
Family.
All right, peace.
All right, yeah.
Peace, guys. All right.